studio and out on the street. Or am I? Backdrops like this one have long played a role in the movies, as you're about to see in what we're calling a background report from John Blackstone.
They're just paint and canvas. In Hollywood's golden age, painted backdrops played a vital role in the magic of movies.
Just met a girl named Marie.
Creating cities, sunsets, or anything else that a director could imagine.
See bricks and how they're laid.
And art instructor Karen Manis appreciates every brushstroke.
The backdrop is part of extending the world of the set. Oftentimes it was just seen outside windows,
Did I hear you say that you were a writer?
but sometimes it even included the entire world of a set on a sound stage and creating that environment.
Take The Wizard of Oz.
You open up into that first view of Oz to see that entire space shaped by paintings.
Manis is co-author of The Art of the Hollywood Backdrop. Art, she says, that has often gone unappreciated. Impressive, but
Designed to be invisible,
why write a book about it?
because they're some of the largest paintings ever created by exceptionally skilled artists, never recognized, never credited, and part of what makes these films extraordinary.
Many people may have paintings at home on the wall that family members have done,
I have a bunch.
really big ones. Lynn Coakley's great-grandfather was a scenic artist for MGM in the 1930s. Her grandfather and father followed him into the business. Their backdrops, or backings as they're called in the industry, gave luster to movies like The Sound of Music. They painted recreations of on-location settings that were sometimes just seen through doors and windows on a soundstage.
But my grandfather and my father painted this backing along with 7 other ones that were used around the gazebo, at the convent.
What makes this look so realistic?
The textures, the details, you've got the correct perspective. It's just a really beautifully painted backing.
In 1962, her family founded the J.C. Backings Corporation to paint and supply backdrops for movies and TV shows. They bought hundreds of backdrops from MGM, 20th Century Fox, and Disney.
A lot of the studios in the 70s and 80s just were getting rid of all of their backdrops. They just didn't want to have it anymore.
One prized acquisition, the famous Mount Rushmore backdrop from North by Northwest. From down here, we can believe we're
Yeah.
looking up at
Yeah.
that mountain, at those heads.
You want to climb it?
Their backdrop from the 1959 movie Ben-Hur features a vista of ancient Rome. Will Rome see you again? And in 2015, it was seen again in the Coen Brothers movie, Hail Caesar.
Backings are not happy when they're rolled up in a dark little spot down below in a storage warehouse.
Then this backdrop must be awfully content. It first appeared in the 1949 film The Fountainhead. Then it provided a view of New York City on the Jeffersons.
Oh, you shouldn't have, but I'm glad you did.
Until it wore out and was repainted.
And already has rented over 30 times and to different TV shows like Felicity, the original Roseanne, The Practice.
Lynn Coakley, who is now president of JC Backing, says that painted backdrops still make up about a third of the company's rentals.
And this is a backlit photo back.
With new technology, JC Backings also creates photo and vinyl backdrops that can be dazzling.
And voila, you have night.
If done well, a painted backdrop and a photographic backdrop should make no difference.
Production designer Tom Walsh uses photographic backdrops on the set of the Fox TV series Deputy.
This is looking east from the Hall of Justice building.
But the old ways remain his first choice.
I still prefer to always use a painted backdrop whenever possible because I think they light better and you can interpret the reality as opposed to just take a photograph. And what the photograph is what you get.
You know, as the industry itself is changing and the way they make movies changes, there is this feeling that we need to start thinking about preserving the old things.
Mary McNamara, culture columnist for the Los Angeles Times, first wrote about efforts to save old hand-painted backdrops that often were just thrown away. What's lost when a lot of these artifacts disappear.
Well, the tangible history of Hollywood, and also some of these things are works of art in themselves.
Even Lynn Coakley had more painted backdrops than she needed when the company moved to new quarters.
I had some backings I really didn't need to move. They had never rented, or they're so specific.
Coakley told Tom Walsh about her dilemma.
And so I said, well, these are to be preserved. And then, of course, I'm opening my big fat mouth. I realized, all right, how are you going to follow up on that?
So Walsh created the Backdrop Recovery Project. With the help of Manus and Coakley, they cataloged more than 200 backdrops.
We didn't know what we were going to get every time we opened the backdrop. We weren't quite sure what it would be.
There was an old vaudeville oleo drop, and no one knew what it was from, really, when we opened it up. And I'd seen that drop.
It was from the classic musical, Singing in the Rain.
It was like seeing an old friend, exhilarating.
Other backdrops were from a different orbit, like this one from Forbidden Planet.
Look at the color of that sky. Yeah, but I'll still take blue.
And it's my job to go around the world. Hey, you want a little 90-foot wide piece of art for you all? But lo and behold, it worked.
Some went to museums, some to institutions like the University of Texas at Austin, where Karen Manus uses them to inspire her students.
Come on over. It's thrilling to see my students learning from these ghosts.
Walsh is still looking for homes for some 60 backdrops, but he's pleased with their progress.
We're finding a new life. There's a life after death for the art of Hollywood.
Hello, this is Rescuing Scenic Backdrops from Hollywood Golden Age presentation.
Out of the studio and
The conflict of the story is partially by finding old backdrop and then based by old people and also by finding places to put the ones they do find, such as where they list in the video that they had run out of, that the people had run out of space because they had so many of the old ones when they tried to move, they couldn't do it anymore. They couldn't take them all, so they had to find new places to put them, and also to prevent people from getting rid of them in the first place, because as the video said that they were pieces of art and pieces of history, yeah. Bias of the story. It's very clear that they're biased towards the people that made the film, they want to keep it preserved, and they want to make sure that they're able to do it, and they did this by explaining it during the start, playing history, why they're important and how they do it and what can lead to backdrops in the film. They also had peoples that were related, so they were biased at it. Then they also told the history of Hollywood by basically doing that, and by doing that they were able to try and do this through, yeah. Okay, all the people, well, John Blackstar is the person who mainly wrote the article. He was the narrator of the story, and so he's the one that was basically doing it all. Catherine Walsh was basically she wrote the book about articles along with one else, and she was the one that started the company that was trying to preserve all of the backdrops in the film and the films and that Tom Walsh was a professor there, and he took some of the backgrounds and helped them find in order to find new places, or to put all the new backgrounds in the first place so that they didn't run out of spaces, and took them and was able, and he gave interviews. Mary Margaret was one of the teachers in story that explaining how they're important and stuff like to future students, and shows how what they do and how they're needed and why they're important. So overall, that there many different types of shots of B-roll, including mountain and footage from old movies. There was also many instances where they showed a background and then cut to show where it was during the movie, like during the sound, like they had found something from The Sound of Music, and they were like, they weren't sure where it was, but then they cut to show where it was from from The Sound of Music, and it was very, there were many times that they did that, like with Tyrion, they'll Mount Mushmore and them exploring it, and sometimes it's even in reverse, like with Mount Rushmore, them showing in the movie, and it was also interesting. They had a backdrop that was like, perhaps we'll never see Rome again, and then they said that they would see it again in a more modern day film, and that was to show how films have progressed. And it was also, there was me. And then the reason I picked this story, the reason why I picked this story is because I thought that would be a very fun story to do, because I'm really interested in the history of movies, and I'm hoping to be a director someday. And that, so one day when I can do this, I'll be able to better understand backdrops, and maybe better understand the process of filming better, so I can make sure that I do it well. And then when I can, I'll do it better.